Namaste, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome all of you today. Before we dive into the conversation, let me quickly introduce myself. Hello, everyone. I am Krupa Nishar, a forensic psychologist and a researcher working in the field of prison, crime, and justice system studies. And I'm thrilled to share that this series interview marks the launch of my YouTube channel dedicated to forensic and legal psychology. And I'm also thrilled to share that this is our second interview, which is a part of a special World Mental Health Day series titled A Day in the Life of Justice. In this series, we'll be talking to the often unseen people who work behind the scenes of the criminal justice system, from filmmakers and crime journalists to law students and digital storytellers, exploring their journeys, challenges, and the mental health realities they face every day. And for today's episode, I have the pleasure of introducing our guest, Miss Himani Bed. Hiral, I hand over to you for introducing her.
Yeah, so thank you, ma'am. I am Hiral Jogadia. And before we start with this discussion today, I want to share a little about this initiative that we have taken up. So we know that World Mental Health Day is celebrated on 10th of October. And this year we wanted to do a little something different. So we've realized that mental health conversations are often focused on therapy and treatments, etc. But there's so much more to it, yes. Particularly when it comes to the fields of forensics and criminology, where people are talking and consuming injustice, violence every day. So we decided to create this space to talk about mental health in these particular professions. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, I think exactly, Hiral, you're hitting on the nail. And today's guest is a reflection of that world, Miss Himani Bed. She's the Chief Design Officer at a very cool organization, Law Firm Ready, and a law graduate with a passion for making the legal field more accessible and user friendly. She combines her legal education with creative skills in legal and graphic design to make complex information clear and engaging. What's more to it, Hiral?
Yeah, her main area of interest is alternative dispute resolution, especially mediation. And she has also worked with TEDx Fundry, Social Legal Corp, and Iuris Jura to promote innovation and positive change in the legal community. And we are so very excited to have you here with us today, Himani.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show, Himani. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Kripa, and thank you so much, Cyril, for having me. I'm very excited, and thank you for doing this amazing work.
Great. So let's start. Himani, shall we start from the very beginning? It's a very, of course, everybody wants to become a lawyer, but what you are doing is so unique. The idea of wanting to blend graphic design with legal education, like how did that come about, and what was your inspiration here?
I think that was I got lucky, I would say. So I am from COVID batch. Once we entered law school, we did not have access to college or courts. So since the beginning of my law school, I started participating in these random competitions like panel discussions or debate or even theater, something like that. So I participated in one of the competitions on legal design, which was organized by Manu Patra in collaboration with Justice Adda. That was where I was introduced to the concept of legal design. Per se, design has always been one of my interest areas. Although I'm not good in art, but I can actually visually think how different things can combine together and communicate a story. So that was where I was introduced to legal design, and then from then on, I tried working with different startups to understand how design can be incorporated. Because when we talk about law or this industry, everything is communicated in very complex terms. So if someone had to say something, they'll use a legal jargon to explain, which can be explained in a simple manner. So that is why I have been working on it. And I also got a chance to get trained on legal design by a Finland based legal designer for around 12 months. So that is what I'm currently doing. I'm also working on my project under Source Fellowship on mediation. It is a fellowship where I'm trying to understand how mediation works in district court in Raipur, but through art. So yes, that is what I've been doing, and design has always been something that kept me, I think, creative and also helped me a lot through law school.
I think continuing with the question, I would say is that it is said that law is art and science both, and I think you have correctly held on to the art part of it along with the science. And it's very nice that you've combined your passion along with your career. Very few people can diversify their career. I think when I take my career guidance session, I always tell my students, don't stick on, okay, I'm a lawyer or a forensic psychologist. I have to work with the court and the police. There are so many things that you can use if you have additional skills. I think that's you are like that role model for them, I would say. Yes. Okay. So coming to the current organization that you are in, Law Firm Ready. So how did that enter into the picture, and how is it helping you to complete your vision? As well as I've seen such nice videos and the vision of it. So how is it making law fun and visually engaging?
Okay, so Law Firm Ready was also, I think it was in my journey something that uh, really changed the whole trajectory. So I joined Law Firm Ready, I think 1 year, 7 months back as a social media intern, and now I work full time with the team. I think it is one of the coolest project or organization you will see in the legal industry in all over India. And the simple point is that what we are trying to do is to actually work with future lawyers and train them in a way that will help them. So we all know that our attention span is low, and the traditional methods of how law is taught, they are now redundant. But nobody is thinking about that, and that was also a challenge for me personally while I was in law school. Another challenge that I faced in law school was that since I come from a tier 2 city, and my law school was also not a government owned or not a fully developed law school, I had very limited opportunities, and I got to know about some of the very cool career opportunities like legal design or ADR in, I think, my later stages of law school. So this realization that your college or where are you from impacts your access to opportunities is was something that also made me work with LFR, because here we mainly work with regional law schools. We work on bridging the gap between few developed and less developed law schools, and at the same time we adopt a lot of innovative pedagogies. Like, for example, I took a session on ADR, and I used literally memes and a storyboard infographics to explain them how the process is. So that is what we do. We have a lot of interactive sessions, and in LFR as a team, we are very fun and creative people. So we do a lot of these fun reels, try to understand legal concepts in simpler and creative manners. So we use a lot of these memes, a lot of movie references, and we have a big pool of around 120 plus mentors who are helping us out, and a community of over 10,000 law students currently. So that is how we work around now, and we hope that we can reach out to more students and help them learn law in a fun and engaging manner.
I think that's so crazy. I think a follow-up question would be that do you feel FOMO that you're not in the cliche field of litigation or a legal researcher per se? And I know this is like a out of box question and we didn't inform you first, but do you have any specimens to show that what kind of designs you've worked on? If you have it currently, you can share, or some reel that you've made so the audience can also know.
Yes, so I can uh, pull out my portfolio. So these are a couple of my designs. This is a graphic designer's portfolio, so you won't see a lot of fun elements here. But yes, like we made a meme thread on Mama Legal Hair series, and these are a couple of other designs. Like this is an infographic to explain how the Companies Act evolved and what was the history of it, and how can you pursue LLM in UK, and then some of the comic strips and other things. But so these are the legal designs or things that I do. How can you visualize NDA? What are the main clauses of an MOA? Or how can you simply explain the case summary? So this is what we do, and I have edited some of the reels on our page, so you can definitely check out our page. It is law firm ready.
Yes, I think the designs are एकदम beautiful, I think. एकदम filmfare worthy, I would say. So, yes, also adding to the question of FOMO, do you feel FOMO that you're not in the Supreme Court or the High Court feeling of it?
So, if I'm being honest, that then I never wanted to go into traditional legal careers from the beginning. So, since I told you guys that I am from the COVID batch, I always wanted to do journalism, but then I didn't had opportunity to go out of my city. There, so I had to choose some other career, and law seemed the best one. So that is why I chose law, and from then onwards I knew the first thing that I don't wanted to do any traditional careers, because I want to do something which challenges me, which keeps me um, hooked with the idea that every day will bring something new to do, some more challenges. So I think that is what we do at LFR.
Perfect. I think I can see the vision in your eyes. So now that we've seen all the interesting and the amazing reels that you've shown us, it definitely comes with its own challenges with being a law student. So do you feel that with a law in not as per in the law firm ready, I would say being a legal designer, what kind of pressures or challenges do you navigate? And you can share maybe one or two case studies from your life that you had this sample to make or this client to deal with, and you had such challenges which you had obstacles that you had to deal with. So, how did you monitor your state and take a step back or overcome it?
So I think one of the things is that law school in itself is very hectic. It comes with its own set of challenges. There are a lot of things that you need to do. And I have been working throughout my law school with some of the other organizations. So there have been a lot of challenges per se. The first being that people won't understand that I wanted to do some unconventional or wanted to opt for some unconventional careers. So there was a moment when I had to explain that to my faculties, and they mocked me. So I think that was very difficult part of acceptance, where I was discouraged by people or peers I looked to. So that was one of the moments. And other thing is that the legal industry in itself is not yet ready to accept what I wanted to do or what I am doing through my work, because they're very restrictive. So they won't accept being challenged, or they don't see any importance in what I am doing, because they have been there around for more than for a long time. And this notion that law needs to be very difficult, it needs to have room for interpretation, that is a set standard that everyone thinks. But that is not the case, and that is what I wanted to prove, that law needs to be more simpler, it needs to be more interactive. Why don't the courtrooms have some color? Why don't law schools give space for people to express themselves through art, or just through maybe stand up comedy or poetry? So I think accepting these little parts, that what I'm doing is unconventional and I'll be challenged throughout my work or throughout my life, was one of the hardest things. How do I cope up is that it has been difficult, and it has been a journey that I have learned through. So I think one of the thing is that finding people who can support you is very necessary, or finding the right people. So now I have people who support me, whom I can go whenever I feel that nothing is working in the world and the world is just coming down. So I do have people to support me. And I think when an industry has a bad side, there is also good side. So there are a lot of people in India, outside India, who are supporting young designers, or people who are challenging the set notions of the industry. I also, I think I am very lucky to have friends and family who support me for what I am doing. So yes, I do have a very big support group, people who are there for me, who will stand with me, and that is how I think I cope up. But apart from that, on a personal level, journaling and expressing myself through art has also helped me a lot. So just writing down whatever is on my mind, or just drawing something, or just using colors to express myself has also been really, really helpful.
I think this is what we aimed when we started the series with, that how lawyers will, and that's why I chose a law student, is I wanted to know how they cope up with it by learning the bare acts, I think, and learning how, as you said, how black and white the codes are, but it needs to be colorful. So I think you've actually summed up the whole series in such a nice way, the whole story. I think it's really nice. Uh, and coming to the next question, I think Beach Mein you mentioned how 2 points of how regional school ka pressure is something else only, and how being a legal student, there are so many stereotypes, biases, pressures, everything. So I think coming to the next question is, what are some of the mental health challenges as a law student you face? And also emphasizing on that there have been so many concerning student suicides in law schools recently, national and regional both. So what are your thoughts about it?
I think, considering the suicide, it is something that really makes me feel sad, because law school in itself comes with its, I think, own set of challenges. There's a lot of peer pressure to succeed. You need to do 1,000 things at the same time. And when we talk about law students, or as a law student myself, I used to have this anxiety and stress all the time, because i I had to do something. I had to perform at internship, but I also had to read law. I had to figure out how can I make a career in unconventional areas, and also at the same time secure my second options, for example, in traditional legal sectors. So that was something. So I think a lot of law students faces anxieties, stress, things that they could not talk about. And I have, I think, been fortunate to get a chance to work on this, to work on mental health through our sessions, and to actually talk to these students, because in all our work at LFR, we do talk to students about mental health, and it is a judgment free space. So in each of these sessions, we talk to them about how they have been doing, and we are trying to create a space where everyone can freely talk. So through this, and we have also got a chance to talk to the professionals. So this has given me some very deep insight that the legal space in itself has a lot of mental health issues. And I think more than half legal professionals, they have to opt for therapy because of the peer pressure in the legal sector. So I think mental health is very alarming currently in the legal sector, and we need to make these spaces more inclusive, more judgment free, and also at the same time a safe space for everyone, which is not the case. And I hope things change for better.
Yeah, I think it's a very concerning situation, considering the legal schools and the laws around it, which should have been more accountability oriented. And I think, so do you think these, what are some of the institutional mechanisms or legal companies should take controls so that such things don't happen? Nowadays, definitely corporates have in-house counselors, but considering, as you said, the high pressure of cases, what are some of the changes that should have happened in law schools from the very beginning?
I think one of the foremost changes is to tell students that you need not to fear anything. Everything will come around. Everything will happen. And since a lot of law students shift from their city to another city, so there's cultural shock, language barriers that come in place, but they do not have anyone to talk to. So having listening circles, having a way for them to connect with their peers, connect with their seniors or juniors, or at least find friends, that I think would be great. I think secondly, there should also be some professional help that is provided. So in a lot of the regional law school, for example, in my law college, there was no professional help provided to any students. And I know for the fact that in the government institutions, they do have counselors in place, but not in a lot of law schools. I think that is one thing. Another, I think, gap that I have sort of understood is that there is no training on what are the healthy coping mechanisms or what are the habits that you can opt for. So a lot of students opt for what are these standards or bad habits. Like smoking is one of the things that you will see in, I think, every Bollywood movie will tell you that lawyers smoke or drink. And that is also one of the coping mechanisms, because the work hours are crazy, or even in law school the pressure to succeed is crazy. So they need to opt for anything. And I think this is some kind of some kind of thing that has been attached to the identity of a lawyer, which is not true. So yes, I think
कहते हैं
that
the
is
चाय
one thing.
सुट्टा, आई थिंक वो जो लॉ मूवी में दिखाते हैं चाय सुट्टा पे
हाँ.
ना 3-4 लॉयर साथ में बैठ गए to discuss their cases, a very classic image of a lawyer being stressed. Yes. So, do you also think, as you had brought it up, is there any difference of struggles between a regional school and a national school? Considering अभी तो काफी awareness बढ़ रही है कि regional schools में भी अभी talent है, and organizations like LFR are concentrating on regional schools. Do you think that such pressures also add on to stress?
I would partially agree to this, and the reason is that now, since with the access to internet and AI and everything, it is very easy to upgrade your skills and to learn things. But when it comes to opportunity, yes, there's a vast difference in 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 what college you belong to. But I also feel that this opens up a big space for people to exploit students, and to tell them that if you do this course or do that, you'll get a 25 lakhs ka job, even if you are from a regional law school, which is a lie. So I think uh, the whole uh, idea of, do you have are you from a regional law school or a developed law school, it boils down to the opportunities and access of trainings that you have. But right now it is very easy to get past that and to learn things. So I think it is reducing, but at the same time it also depends on the student's capability.
Yeah, I think this is something I agree to, because when students come for career guidance, I definitely do tell them that college matters and that exposure does matter. But uh, it nowadays recruiters very rarely see कि कौन से college से आ रहे हो आप. They might see some of them, but they'll see what skills you have, what research papers you've written, what internships you've done. And if a college is not having lectures, you have the benefit of doing 3-4 internships in a day. I think you can use all of those time for your own benefit. So I think that's something I agree on. So considering that we've all you've talked about the student problems, now coming to professional problems, how is your professional life going, and what you can say, what's the general attitude towards mental health in the professional setup now of your life?
Yes, so I think I am the best. I think I found the best place to work, because all of my colleagues, even my boss Rohit, he is very supportive. So whenever something happens, I just go to him for advice, or I even resort to my team for advice, or I just try to talk to them. So I think as a professional setup, or in my firm or the organization that I work in, we are very open minded when it comes to mental health challenges. We can even take a break when we are not feeling. So I can even have a honest conversation that I'm not feeling well mentally and I don't want to work today. Can I take a break? And even my team members, my boss, he encourages us to take a break. So I think I feel the model that we are adopting on uh, how humans should be treated in any professional setup should be actually implemented everywhere, because it is a very chill organization and how we work is very different. There are no levels of hierarchy when we work, so even if there is an intern, we treat them like one of us. Their opinion matters. Yes, the work gets done and it is of best quality, but I think the way that this organization accepts anyone and there is the safe space for everyone, I think that is very, very beautiful.
Yes, I think it's very rare to find such organizations. And even personally, knowing Rohit, I have worked before with him. I think that he knows how to balance the between you can say the deliverables that he wants from the other person, but also he knows that it will come with the best of his health or her health. So and he knows how to balance it out. So I think he's been a great support system, and I'm very glad that we connected via Rohit on it. Uh, so yes, I think coming to the last question is what has been your learning till today or in the LFR per se regarding your mental health, law, career, everything, and where do you see your future as?
So I think answering the first question, I think I've learned a lot being a professional or working with LFR or even being a law student per se. So I think one of the most important things that I've learned is that everything in life can wait. Nothing will go wrong, or there is no tsunami coming in today if you take a break. It is very important to prioritize yourself over anything, and you should actually celebrate even small wins. Time, you have ample of time. I think one of the things that we as law students think that 5 years are over and then I need to get a job and then I need to get promoted and things like that. But what I feel is that there's ample of time to explore as much as you can, and that is what I have been doing. I've worked on, I think, things that I would never do in life, but I've worked on that because I wanted to give it a chance and see if that works. So I think trying different things and also prioritizing myself has been the true learning of. I think if I had to sum up things that I've learned, these would be the two biggest learnings that I've learned till now.
Yes, and how would you see your future as now after this?
I think my future should definitely contain some alone moments where I am thinking just about myself, where I'm, at peace. And at the same time, it is also to help as many law students or professionals as I can, and to just do whatever I'm doing right now to create a safe space, to work on legal design, and to also make sure that legal industry in itself is more kinder, more inclusive, and more fun. So yes.
I think that's such a beautiful vision to have. And this is something very different from the, you can say, normal lawyer vision, like saying that we should have a landmark case or something. I think your vision is very creative and something you can wake up to every day and say, ki, yes, I want to work on this. Okay. So I think thank you so much, Himani, for sharing your journey and your insights with us today. As the majority of individuals get to hear very little about the experiences of a law student and dealing, especially with how they deal with mental health problems that come with it, This was a genuinely great experience and an eye-opening experience personally for me. Hiral, did you enjoy? What did you think?
Yeah, of course. The discussion that we had here today. So even as you mentioned at the very start that Himani pretty much, covered the vision that we had behind this series, which is like to see the other side of things. So, that was really great. So, yeah, I also personally want to thank Himani for taking out her time and discussing with us on these kinds of topics. Yeah.
Yes, and I am sure that people who will watch this video will understand why is it important to talk about our mental health, not only from the perspective of disorders or biology or the therapy, but it's also important to talk about mental health at institutional levels, right from criminal justice courts to law schools. That's important, and the ways we can cope, care, and set boundaries. And yes, Hiral, anything to add on?
Yeah, so exactly as Himani has mentioned that um the world is not going to stop if you take a little break. So at the end of the day, your mental health is what truly matters. So yeah, I think.
Yes.
Hmm.
I think a big thank you once again to Himani and to our lovely audience who will join us and watch this video, and to the LFR audience and interns and the team. This marks the beginning and I think the second video of our A Day in the Life of Justice series, where we will continue decoding the minds behind crime, justice, and humanity. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more real conversations this World Mental Health Month. Thank you.